drawing again. So here I am drawing all of this information now for the second time. And I'm using my first marks as guidelines, but I'm editing them very heavily, moving whatever I feel needs to be moved, which is a lot needs to be moved. So I'm not relying on my earlier sketching. I watched a video yesterday or the day before of James. Oh, phooey, now I'm drawing a blank. The Dinotopia guy, James Gurney. There we go. I watched a video of James Gurney doing plein air painting, which evidently he does quite a bit of plein air painting. And like, he's very good. But my goodness, he is a stickler for precision. He's out there measuring with his pencil, you know, the way a portrait painter does, for a city, for a town, for a country road with a building or two on it. And I watched it and thought, my goodness, if I painted like that, I'd be more precise. No, I would never get a painting done. It was kind of refreshing because as I was watching him, I was going, wow, he is good. Wow, that's a good idea to measure like that. And as I was watching, I was going, but man, that is not for me. I am not going to do that. You know, things that to me very much don't matter in a cityscape or in a landscape. I mean, I'm working kind of hard, as you can see. I'm assuming, am I blocking your vision completely? I'm blocking it largely, aren't I? Sorry about that. Anyway, I'm working pretty hard to get you know, things where they actually belong. But if I have a building a quarter inch or half an inch to the left or the right of where it's actually supposed to be, see, in my opinion, see, that really doesn't matter. Really doesn't matter at all. Now, perspective issues, yeah, if you get perspective wrong, that matters, because people can see that, whether they know what the scene looks like or not. They can discern errors in perspective. Anyway, it was a lot of fun watching him. I recommend him highly. James Gurney. He's a fantastic artist, illustrator, but very different from me. And his technique doesn't call to me in the sense of like, oh yeah, I want to paint like him. Quite the contrary. I do not want to paint like him. And I'm saying that all the while I hear him this afternoon working, as you can see, working quite hard to accurately record quite a bit of architectural information. Let me mention again why do plein air painting, or for that matter, why paint from photographs? Why not just paint out of your head? And if you've been following me the last couple of days, I've been doing tons of drawing out of my head. I've talked about that a bunch. I won't go into that now. But why am I out here, you know, on the street, risking life and limb? By the way, yes, I'm 5 feet away from a curb, 5 feet away from traffic. Instead of, first of all, just snapping a picture and running home and finishing, It's a lot easier to paint, trust me, a lot easier to paint from a photograph than it is en plein air, which is, as you know, French for in the open air, out in the open. Why not just do it then? Why go to the bother? How to answer that question? I will tell you, it's not so that I can fly the snob factor of saying I paint en plein air. It's not so that I can say I'm a member of a elite club. I'm out here because you see things. I'm sorry, I'm taking a long time to say this because I'm painting, drawing at the same time. Sometimes both sides of my brains can't work optimally at the same time. You see a ton of information when you're out here on location that you can't see from a photograph. Plus, of course, the light's always changing. That's both good news and bad news. It's bad because it makes it difficult. It's good because you get to experience several different lighting scenarios while you're out here. And some scenarios are better than others. So you get to see a whole range of light effects. I am drawing really carefully today for some reason. Tell you what, and I know this is getting really boring. Let me zoom in for just a second so you can see what I've done there. And I'm going to hang up on you. Thanks for watching, you guys. I'll be back in a little while with more wind and traffic noise. Thanks for watching. Hello, welcome back. Or welcome back to me, as the case may be, if you're watching this all in one stream later on. Man, I spent a whole lot of time drawing this. For some reason, I don't know what came over me. I got started in a more fussy, accurate, fastidious mood, and then just stayed that way. So my drawing here is quite a bit more accurate than normal. At least I hope it's accurate. Believe it is. And a little bit more precise. Hello, man. Thank you. And you know, that makes me think about talking about something I haven't talked about for a long time, and that is what I call the donut of creativity. In order to be productive, you want to stay in the donut of creativity. What you don't want to do is miss the donut completely by going to the outside, and you don't want to miss the donut by hitting the hole in the middle. So there's a sweet spot, a sweet zone of creativity, and that's what you want to hit. Let me describe what I mean by that. If you never experiment and you paint by formula, and you do the same doggone thing over and over and over. Every time you paint, you do the same process. ABC, 1, 2, 3, no variation. Then in my opinion, you are missing the donut because you're in the hole. You're not creative enough. You're too narrow, you're too constricted, you're too limited, okay? And we all fall into this on this, not like somebody does this. We all are in danger of doing this. As you know, if you follow me, I have a formula. I have an ABC 1, 2, 3. I kind of, I know pretty much what I'm going to do when I get out here and start painting. I'm not making it up. So anytime you've got a formula, sorry, this music's a little bit too loud. I'm afraid YouTube's going to hit me for a copyright violation. Okay, so I have a formula. Anytime you have a formula, then you're in danger of missing the donut by being in the hole. Now, on the other hand, you can miss the donut of creativity by being crazy creative and just being all over the map, just doing crazy stuff all the time. Just to be honest, not to be mean, but to be honest, this is what young people do. In fact, I would consider my college career as an art major, pretty much the entire 3 years of my art major, I missed the donut because I was outside. I was all over the map. I didn't know what I was doing, and that's pretty typical of youth because you really don't know what you're doing. You don't have a technique nailed down. So you're trying this and that and this and that. Hey man, thank you, bless you. So today, for some reason, and again, let me give you permission as I give myself. There's always a little bit of wiggle room. So you don't want to be stuck in the middle. You don't want to be all over the map. So you got to be somewhere in between. And for some reason today, when I came out here, I was just, maybe it was because I watched James Gurney the other day with all his measuring. Maybe the spirit of James Gurney got on me. And I was just really drawing really carefully. That's not like me. So it's okay. Now I'm going to pause here again. First of all, I need to let this dry. And I hope you were, by the way, if you were paying a little bit of attention to the way I was putting those layers of acrylic on top of the pencil. Several of you have commented to me that you've tried this pencil thing, but the pencil just smears. Well, it was smearing, but I was pretty careful to try to only rub the painting one time in each location. Only a few times that I have to go back and forth a couple of times. So that really helps a lot. Does that make sense? Hope you caught that. Okay, I'm going to stop there. And hang on. I'm going to pause there and be back again in just a few minutes. Thanks so much for watching. Sorry about that. You probably couldn't hear anything I was saying, could you? Sorry. Whew. Amateur. Bush League. Okay, I'm talking about composition. Maybe you gathered that. Okay, guideline number 3. Guideline number 1, the rule of thirds, the law of thirds, pushed, twisted slightly. Number 2, the major light or dark area of your painting defined in one word. So I've said wedge. My dark is a wedge shape coming in from the right. Law number 3, and I'm sorry about all the wind noise. It's windy out here. Law number 3, or guideline number 3, is Mikey's rule. My friend Mike Rooney taught me this. He got it from somebody else, but he can't remember who from, so I give Mike the credit. This time you break your painting into 3 values: light, medium, and dark. Light, medium, and dark. And 2 of those 3, either the lights or the mediums or the darks, 2 of those 3 need to be contiguous, touching each other. One of those, light, medium, or darks, can be speckledy, heckledy-peckledy, freckle face, okay? And I don't know which it's going to be. Right now, I'm not far enough along to know. And then guideline number 4 is Edgar Payne, P-A-Y-N-E, Edgar Payne. You can Google him. 12 stem composition design stems. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. And that's as far as I'm going to go with that. And I'm going to give this a minute to dry, and I'll be back again in a few minutes. Thanks for watching. Hey gang, I am counting. Let me make sure my sound is at least registering here. Am I ready? Yep. Okay. I know you're getting bad wind noise. I'm so sorry about that. Okay, I'm about to begin layer number 6. I had to count. This painting so far was, first of all, an abstract shape that is not part of the composition, not part of the image at all. Abstract shape, number 1. Number 2, drawing with brushes. Number 3, drawing with pencils. Number 4, color glazes. On top of that, number 5, white. So I am now going to proceed to layer number 6. Often I would do glazes on top of the white, but this time I've decided, because the last 2 steps of my painting process have been fairly broad brush, I decided to switch up a little bit and do smaller marks or dark details. So in this case, that means quite a few, some of these windows. There's a lot of windows. That's interesting. You know, a skyline, cities, buildings, all these buildings have windows. Duh. And I am going to resist the temptation to get too fussy at this point. One of the ways to describe the painting process, in the underpainting stage, you do not want your painting, your work, your drawing, or your painting, and I already do it because my drawing is way too accurate today, but that's all right. I'm hoping that I'll survive unusual so far. You don't want it to be too accurate, because if it's too accurate, then you get down to the final layer painting. If all the underpainting is already accurate, your painting will be stiff. So it sounds funny, but it's kind of good news. You actually want your painting to be kind of inaccurate in the early stages. Isn't that good news? Relieves you of a lot of pressure, I hope. It does me, anyway. So I'm just going to slap in a bunch of approximate almost west. Let me line you up here. As to the, I mentioned briefly just a minute ago that my last two phases, last two steps, have been mostly large brushes, so I felt like it was time for some small brush work. That comes from this thinking, this process that I have. I'm very happy with that. Okay, back up. Broad statement. All good paintings, if you see a good painting somewhere, it's because the painting had a good process. The painting process was good. Good painting is a result of good process. Again, it's counterintuitive. Most students would say, no, good painting is a result of careful, accurate drawing, and so on and so on and so forth. But I'm saying no, it's really not. Good paintings are the result of good process. Now, again, this does not include super realistic, hyper realistic, photorealistic painting, which I don't consider to be all that good. It's fun, it's interesting, everybody can do it once and get it out of their system, but it's not great painting. It's just in my humble opinion. This doesn't sound too humble right now, does it? Anyway, so good painting is a result of good process, and good process I compare to a good dance, like a good choreographed dance. Good process is, I say this a lot, but I'll repeat it for those who perhaps haven't heard it, but haven't heard it a lot. Large steps or small steps, light steps and dark steps, literal steps, and artistic or expressive steps. I always hesitant to use that word expressive because too many people think that painting is about self-expression. Could not disagree more vehemently with that notion. I'm not out here to express myself, except on video. I'm out here to do a good painting. Now, in the course of that, I do get expressed, but I'm not out here to express myself. If I am violating, I believe, the contract between painter and viewer. When a viewer comes to my artwork expecting to see, and instead they see a statement, they have every right to feel like I have screwed them. At least sense of the word. You know what I mean by that. Instead of waiting there tonight for the lighting to get good, I'm going to be really disappointed if I go all night long and I never really get great lighting on this subject matter. So far it's been just okay. It hasn't been stellar, but I do expect it to get good as the sun heads toward sunset. As the sun heads toward sunset. That's intelligent language for instance. These are trees, right? Bare trees, trees without foliage. Doing a little bit of local color right now. You know, buildings that are actually red, yellow, blue, green. In fact, let me do some, just did a bunch of blue. Let's do some orange and red buildings. And this is a good example of, I hope, of what I mean by don't color in the lines. Okay? Just because there are lines in this doesn't mean you should stay in them. And that would take some discipline for a beginning painter, because they want to rely on those lines that they work so hard to put down on the canvas. And I'm saying, do not do that. Why not? Okay, good question. Several reasons. The simplest one is, one of the breakable laws of painting, is that we, the viewer, we, all human beings, we enjoy seeing little bits of the object that is spilled out into the background, and little bits of background that is spilled out into the object. So in this case, like right now, I'm doing a brown building up here, and we would like to see some of that brownness escaped out into the sky around it. Does that make sense? That's what I mean by, I did a whole bunch of that here. There's a building over there that's very distinct in downtown Raleigh skyline. It's Red Hat, is the name of the company. That big red top of the building. And look how much I've let it go out. So that's one of the reasons why I use color outside the lines. Another reason is that you need to create enough chaos in the underpainting so that in the overpainting, in the later stages of the painting process, you have lots and lots and lots of energy on the canvas, lots of chaos, lots of stuff to respond to react to. I might be able to keep going here for just a minute and bleed on over, if you will, into the next phase. Let me see how dry this stuff is. Oh yeah, good. And one nice thing about this wind, it makes for horrible broadcasting, I know. But one nice thing about it is it makes the acrylics dry really quickly. And what I want to do next is more glazes of every kind and color, here, there, and everywhere. Oh, by the way, you might have known, I have a T-square out here today. The reason that I always carry this in my van, don't usually use it, but today my easel, because of where I'm set up, my easel isn't perfectly vertical. And I've discovered that my profile is pretty good. I can get vertical lines, but if the easel is canvas is slightly off, that messes up. So I've been using this a little bit, used it a couple times today, and glad I had it here. When my easel is leaning, I want my picture lined up with the canvas, right? Okay, so I can now go to some glazes. So the last dance step that I did was small marks, windows, stuff like that, you know. Then I got some medium-sized marks, small and dark. So dancing, last step was dark and small. Our next step is going to be large and dark, and then after that it's going to be light and small. Okay, so let's do some, as I said, some more glazes. I want more blue in the sky, which, by the way, I used to do quite a bit more color in the sky. I still like that. I just don't do it as often. Maybe it's a phase I'm going through. I really like doing the sky. Okay, so there's some blue, and I don't have to wait for that to dry. So I'm going to do my orange and yellow, mostly in different areas adjacent to what I just did blue. So I don't have to wait for that to dry. Let's do that building yellow. Woo, that's yellow. Okay, so what I'm doing right now is a good example of what to do, even though I have lines on my canvas, drawing lines. Pretty careful. You notice how freely and messy I am being with these glazes. And of course, it's the fact that they're transparent, that's key. I would certainly not want to do that with opaque paint, because I would just obliterate all of my drawing. Well, I've diminished it somewhat, but I certainly haven't obliterated it. By the way, I'm painting with a rag right now. I like that wild and crazy yellow. I just don't like that much of it. So I'm just going to back out a little bit. Show that in my litter box. And I'm going to do this red thing again. Where else can I do some red? Ooh, oh, I'm just hanging on. I'm getting some nice light. Really nice light for the first time. Turning on my other phone. Hope that nice light will come back again real soon. Not kidding. Just a minute ago, had the first really nice light of the whole evening. And I'm hoping the clouds that are in front of the sun right at this moment looks like they're going to give way in just a minute. Now you can kind of see why my next layer really needs to be white, because my canvas is getting awfully dark. Thank you. Okay, time out here just for a minute while I take some pictures. Whoops, no. The sun is still behind that cloud. Okay, I'm going to pause right here and take some pictures. I'll be back in just a minute. Thanks for watching. All right. The lighting is gorgeous right now, so it'll take just a second to bring you over here and let you see what I'm looking at. Really? Come on. We still thinking about it? Still thinking about it? Oh, there we go. Okay, sorry about that. Doesn't look quite as dramatic on this screen as it does in real life, but trust me, it looks pretty nice. Back to the painting then. So I'm down to my final acrylic layer. Almost always as far as I can remember. I don't remember ever doing an exception to this. The last layer of acrylic is white. And so this is my second application of white in acrylics. Sometimes I'll in my painting I'll be on a short rotation, something like that. And just do one layer of white, but it tends to be, if the subject matter is pretty highly complex or variegated, detailed, I'm more likely to do more than one layer of white. Now, be sure that as I'm doing each of these layers of drawing, and in spite of the fact that I did not typical for me, I did a very tight pencil drawing early on this thing. In spite of that, I'm still editing medium heavily, I would say. Not heavily, but doing a fair amount of editing, redrawing, changing my mind. Sometimes because for the sake of increased accuracy, but sometimes for the value of the painting, to make it a better painting. I'll move something up or down, left or right, just a little bit. Slightly better. This whole building right here, this one is one of the well recognized tall buildings in downtown Raleigh. And I have made it in this painting slightly taller than it appears here in real life. So I want it to be a little bit more prominent, and that the residents of Raleigh wouldn't look at it and say, "Huh, didn't you make that building too tall?" They'll just look at it and say, "Oh yeah, there's the Wells Fargo building." Does that make sense? So then it looks better if it's not the same height as it is in reality. It's the same. It's even with the top of this white building, but I made it seem a little bit taller. Can you? Yeah, I think you can see what I'm talking about there. So the lighting now finally is so nice. This is the
the golden hour for painters. That expression is not new to me, new by me. I've heard other artists, Plein painter, call this the golden prophecy. The sky is literally golden. Of course, it's golden in that it's the most beautiful writing too, so it's golden metaphorically as well as literally. And as you can see, I'm back to my, with this layer, with this stage of the dance. So the step that I'm doing right now is most decidedly small details, light and literal. I'm painting pretty accurately, pretty carefully. And of course I'm doing light and light accurate. I get myself in more trouble sometimes by just trying to talk at the same time. Oh, this is nice. Now the street lights. Thank you, man. The street lights down there are getting, in the shade of the buildings, are showing up lighter than their background. So that's nice, which is certainly how I will paint them. I want those things to show up. Yeah, it's just starting to come alive now. And going back to my previous conversation about composition, it's a little bit all my values are locked in place. It's a little premature to declare what my composition was, because it wasn't quite all showing up. Ooh, a really nice thing is happening right now. There's a shadow being cast across. There's a face of a building. I have no idea what building it is, but it's fairly large from this vantage point. There's no windows in it. It's a big, long slab of concrete. But it just has this shadow falling across it. That is, and as long as I repeat that very angle a couple of times in the painting, in fact, I'm going to do it right here on this. It's not happening. It is not happening at all. It's not happening here. I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to add it to that building. I just need to include that angle a couple of different times. Now it's not showing up anywhere else right now, but I think it would look good on this red top of this building, top of the Red Hat building, which conveniently the Red Hat building has a red hat, a red top anyway. Here's a way to, when you're out painting in real life, generally speaking, like if you're in a situation like the sun is shining, is it not? Even though it's going down, it's at a nice, fairly extreme angle. The sun is, so to speak, hitting everything. The sun is an equal opportunity hitter. It's shining on all the stuff. And most of the time, as an artist, if you do what it's doing and you paint the sun shining on everything, you will paint not a very good painting. Because what people need to see is play of light. And sun-bathing everything, generally speaking. Now, of course, every rule can be broken. And you rule it first, otherwise you're probably just screwing up. Generally speaking, I just did a little bit of that right there by inventing a shadow that is actually not there in real life. I usually call this the porch railing symbol. And watch me much. You've heard me talk about the porch railing symbol. That's this obvious. It's easy to imagine. Just imagine a traditional house, maybe even a Victorian house, with a nice white porch, the railings, or the pickets, whatever you call them, all standing in nice in order. And the sun, most of the time, is hitting the whole front of the house. I mean, maybe the house next door, between the houses is in shade, but, you know, the most common thing. Now, if you're ever out there and the sun is not hitting the whole porch, then you're lucky, because the sun is actually helping you. The shade is helping you make a good painting. But most of the time, you have to make this stuff up. It's not going to have to come to you. Our assignment most of the time as artists is to take a sow's ear, is that the expression, and turn it into a silk purse. You can't make a silk purse of the sow's ear or cow's ear. Is it sow or cow? Anyway, one of those. But as a painter, that in fact is a good description of your job. It is to take what most of you miss and turn it into something extraordinary. The joke for me and several of my listeners, and forgive me, I can't see if you're making any comments this evening, I can't see them yet. The joke is, it's my job, Dan Nelson's job, it's my job to make Raleigh look like Paris. I've talked about that several times. In fact, it happened actually online with somebody's comments just a few in the last week or two. Somebody compared my painting of Raleigh to Paris. Now, I don't think they were saying, is that Paris? They were tapping into that little joke that some of us have had going on. Is that Paris? So it's my job to but here's, while I'm on the subject though, I don't really feel like I'm being creating works of fiction. I really believe that the view here in front of me tonight is gorgeous. It really is beautiful. All I am doing as an artist is helping people see the beauty that they tend to miss due to sluggishness of soul. But they look at my painting and they can say, wow, that is gorgeous. Raleigh really is beautiful. And it is. It would be beautiful. Wherever I was painting would be the same thing. Again, it's my job to help people see the beauty that is there. I don't feel like I'm making it up out of whole cloth. I feel like I'm just opening up people's eyes to see it better than they might otherwise. One of the charms of this view, I think, and I think it also as the evening goes on, is there's a veritable forest of vertical lines, power lines, mostly a lot of street lights, light poles. Some of these are traffic light, holder uppers. But I think that's part of the charm of the view that I'm looking at. All these vertical shafts, and that they tend to be light to value. At least for the moment, light. It's almost time for me to start thinking. Do something a little unusual. I'm going to paint some opaque color. I'm going to paint. Whoa! Oh my goodness. There goes my painting tools. I'll clean that up and I'll get rid of you guys in a minute. And I got paint all over my fingers and all over my brushes. I'm just having a real mess here. Welcome to Plein painting. Okay, I'm going to do some opaque green, because there's some green hitting, orange sun hitting green foliage right now that I feel like is really beautiful and critical to the scene. And if I don't capture where that green is right now, I'm afraid I won't have the opportunity later. So I don't usually do any opaque in the acrylic. acrylic stage, other than the white, of course. I don't do any opaque color, but here I am doing opaque color because I want to capture those bits of green. Yeah, man.
That's nice, man.
Thank you, thank you. I'm in a heavy pedestrian zone here, by the way, if you notice that. So that's kind of fun. Lots of people come by and turn around and look at the painting coming from the other direction. Okay, we need to pause now and clean up some of my mess. I'll be back in a few minutes. I think I'm ready to go to oil, I think. Thanks for watching. I'll be back. Hey gang, thanks for joining me. Ready to keep going? Now I've switched to oil, so everything on here is acrylic. That means everything is bone dry. And I'm ready to start with oils. And I always love this stage. In fact, if you want to find a good painting process for yourself, try to find a process where during every step you're already excited about the next step. And how do you do that? I don't know, but that's what I do. I'm always excited about, man, I can't wait till I get to that next phase. That is going to be so cool. So this is oil glazes over the entire canvas, whatever colors I want, any colors, as many colors as I want. But it's a glaze, but it's a multicolored glaze. So usually I call it glazes. Sometimes people ask me, so where do you buy these transparent paints? No. They're not transparent paints. They're transparent because I'm adding lots of this to it, right? Winsor Newton liquid gel. I like the gel because then I don't need a cup. I can just set it on my palette. It doesn't have very much. Right at the moment, I'm doing a simple trick. I don't know if it's a trick, but I made the sky blue. And by the way, that's probably going to change considerably before I'm done with this painting, but I started out blue anyway. The sky that I'm looking at right now, as you can see back there, is still quite blue. Come on, there we go. Okay. And I'm probably going to make this a little bit later evening scene when it appears right now. I think the lighting is going to get even better. Okay, so I was going to say the trick is if the sky blue, then the asphalt pavement concrete down here often reflects a little bit of that sky color. So right now I'm being really typical of me. Ultramarine blue, that had a little halo in it. Ultramarine blue and oxide red, which is brown. My most common, my go-to combination. And as you know, beware of the donut hole. If there's something that you do all the time, you better not do it all the time. Are you with me? If there's something that you do all the time, you better think about changing it up. Don't do it all the time. Because if you do, you might be stuck in the dreaded hold on. So you don't want to hit the hole, you want to hit the donut. I think on the way home I stopped by Krispy Kreme. Dozen donuts. Boy, would my grandchildren love me. Boy, would my children, their parents, not so much. We'll think about it. We keep the sweets not really limited at our house, I think. Our children who are living with us at the moment. And there are 4 kids. I think I just bumped you. So let me get you back on target there. This stage right here, this blazing stage of the painting process that I say very often my painting actually becomes a painting as opposed to a picture. Again, the word picture were mispronounced on purpose. I don't know why, just a little ornery streak in me. As painters, we are not in the business, in my opinion. And I agree with, when Rembrandt calls all the great painters named through history, that our job is not to paint pictures, our job is to paint paintings. You could almost say that Rembrandt and Caravaggio were, Rembrandt in the north, Caravaggio in the south, were real kingpins in that transition. Because, of course, back in their day, there were no photographers, of course, so painters really were painting pictures. In my book, the book that is Breaking the Laws of Painting, I've already written in the introduction, which is not really a typical introduction. It's not one of those introductions you can skip. It's really the foundation. But in it, I draw a comparison or contrast that I experienced in real life. I've been to the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam twice, I think. How can I forget? Anyway, yeah, I've been there twice. And the Rijksmuseum is the home, even though there are Rembrandts all over the world, the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam is the home museum of Rembrandt. And it's also home to a number of other really excellent Dutch painters. And back in the 1600s, when Rembrandt lived in New York, it was the job of the artist to be the cameraman. And the most famous, like you remember the Dutchman, many of us remember the Dutchman cigars or something like that. That has a bunch of men in the big broad brimmed hats, kind of stuff. That was a commission, that this club, this bunch of guys got together and paid Rembrandt and people like him to paint their portraits. So that's why we have paintings like the Dutchman. They were paid to do that. That's what the artists were paid to do. They were the cameras of the day. And in the Rijksmuseum, it's the most famous painting in the world is Rembrandt's, what has traditionally been called Night Watch. That's because for years and years and years, the soot had built up on the painting so much that everybody thought it was a nighttime scene. It wasn't until they cleaned it off sometime in the last century or half century maybe, that they discovered it wasn't a nighttime scene at all. But it's still called the Night Watch by a lot of people. Most famous painting. And just around the corner from Rembrandt's Night Watch is another painting, and I can't remember the name of it. I can't remember the name of the artist. But it is, this other painting I'm talking about is absolutely breathtaking. It's about 25 feet wide, 10 feet tall. So you get it, it's what most of us would call a mural, but they don't call it a mural. 25 feet wide, 10 feet tall, and has, I forget, 30 or 60 from the ridiculous number of people painted in it. And this painting that I'm talking about, not the Rembrandt, but the other one, is so precise. You can literally walk up like I did and almost put your nose on the canvas and swear you're looking at a soldier's, pewter, brass, silver, I don't know, some kind of steel, or not steel, breastplate, and the fur, and every fabric, every bit of it is so precise, and it is literally breathtaking. But people travel around the world not to see that painting. They travel around the world to see, around the corner from that one, they travel around the world to see Rembrandt's quote-unquote Night Watch. And why is that? Well, because the other guy, 25 by 10 foot painting with 30 or 60 people that I can't remember. I know that's a big difference, but either one is like just breathtaking, impressive. He painted a spectacular picture of the men as he was commissioned to do. Rembrandt, on the other hand, painted a spectacular painting. Even though Rembrandt's portraits are still accurate, in fact, if we know anything about Rembrandt, they're actually ridiculously accurate. But Rembrandt's painting, The Night Watch, it's famous, not because it's accurate, it's famous because of composition, values, play of light, brush strokes, and so on and so on and so forth. Rembrandt didn't paint a picture, he painted a painting. And therein lies the difference. Okay. So, as I was saying, I think that at this point in my painting process, I'm always hoping that my canvas will, in fact, begin to really make a big turn toward partly because in this stage I really begin to nail down what the composition is going to be. A lot of pushing values. So I'm going to pause here for just a minute, step out, look at this and see how my composition is doing. It's quite a bit different than last time I analyzed it, because now this is all dark, and I think that's going to stay dark. So now I basically have light at the top, dark at the bottom, which is okay. That's a simple enough composition. That's the 2 value. 3 value, I think it's my midtones are going to be contiguous connected. And I'm going to try to make my dark tones contiguous somehow. And then the light is going to be speckly. So I think it's going to work there. From my Edward Plein point of view, this is a center mass. Could be called a center mass painting or a mass painting. Could be a bell shape. There's more. Anyway, that's as far as I'm going to go with that. Next step. So at this point in the painting process, we're going to give you a quick view of downtown again, the view that I'm painting. There we go. Got it? It's kind of nice. The lighting is nice. The color is nice. It doesn't show up real great on this screen. As to me. It's chilly out here. I don't know if I mentioned that or not. That's why I'm wearing a fairly heavy coat. Last week of March. It's been a really chilly March for us, for North Carolinians. Snow. Quite unusual. Usually at this point, everything's coming out green and blossoming, and hay fever's going nuts. At this point, I'm done with the big chip brushes, except for the handle. So I'll keep one of them handy, because I do quite a bit of scratching with the handle. Okay, at this point in my process, I do one of two things. Either I do drawing with pencils or drawing with brushes. They go both ways, either way. Very intuitive, never sure exactly why I go which way. But I know today I'm going to do brushes first, because there's still just barely enough pencil showing here that I don't want to do pencils when there's this much pencil still showing. So I'm going to draw now with brushes. As the sun will be going down pretty soon. Unfortunately, I have a light, LED light, battery operated LED above my there you go. wait, there you go. See? There's the battery right up there. Pretty cool, huh? And why do I have an umbrella today? That's a good question. I ended up not putting it up because the wind is too strong. When I'm out here painting like this, close to the road, you know, almost dangerously close to the street, I want to make, that's sort of a safety thing. I want to make sort of as big a visual splash as I can, just to help drivers see. Of course, in a little while I have a light on and I really see it. Okay, enough jabbering. Let's do some painting. So I'm gonna paint with dark stuff. My most common color is dark black. Any colors mixed together to make dark, almost black. I call it dark black. But my good friend Mike challenged me on that last time we were together. He said, "Nah, I don't think you should do that dark black thing." He said it kills color. And of course, I know it does. He said, "I think you should do more." And he's got a good point. So, anyway, because of his statement, and in fact, Mike, if you're listening, I have, yes, in fact, done a lot of colors other than. Hello. But at the moment, precisely because that is actually the color of this building, taking advantage of that. Zoom in. I hope whenever I zoom in like this, the danger is that I'm going to forget to zoom back out in those areas. Don't do that. I wanted you to see me scratching right there. Again, anytime you have a repeated, highly repeated or repetitious motif, pattern, shape, object, painting, you want to come up with several different techniques for rendering that repetition. In other words, you don't want to repeat. You want there to be variety. So just a minute ago, I did some of these windows by painting around them, sort of manually painting around them, if you will, and then I did others by scratching, which is what I'm doing now. So, free tip there, free tip. These days, all my tips are free. By the way, some of you might ever wondering, you appreciate my generosity, and I'll continue to be generous with my information, but I would like to come up with a way to make some money doing this, and if you hear me saying, if you hear this, I don't know if you think this is a good idea. I'm thinking about gathering together local hobbyists, that is some paint students, meet in a classroom context, and teach. Normally I teach introduction. I did the. No, I'm still in view. Okay. Introduction to painting. That's not what I would teach. Instead, I would do various subjects and themes, themes that are easy to categorize. For instance, I would spend an hour on how to paint trees, and then, or maybe half an hour, I don't know. And then I would spend an hour or half an hour on how to paint, something else related to landscape. Distance. And then we'll put these things together in packages, like a landscape package, human figure package, still life package, and so forth, and then sell those packages. So we'll see. Coming to near you. Mess with my phone and my system just a little bit. I'm going to do some local color. Another building way down here, fairly bright red. I want that little bit. Well, I got red on my brush. brush. Yeah, let's go ahead and do this red hat cat again. At the top of the building, the hat. Got some traffic lights down here. Dark details. There, get that red. Just here. Phthalo blue. With a little bit of green in it. This building right here is quite distinct. And I like that because it gives variety to my painting. I don't even have to make it up. Is green. Make up that bit of color. Same thing over here. Very green buildings over here. Generally speaking, I think generally speaking, it is the artist's prerogative, almost his job, his or her job, to boost the color of reality, to pump it up, to grab the slider in Photoshop called saturation, and to give it a good boost. Generally speaking, I believe that is correct. Given the choice, people would rather see yes color than no color. Can I put it that way? Given the choice, our eyes would rather see yes more than no less. That was kind of confusing. We'd rather, given the choice, our eyes would rather see more than less. Less is more is a clever statement made by people who feel like they're being smart. And it does reflect a reality. But in the art world, generally speaking, our eyes would rather see more than less. And more means more. That's why we call it more. That's why you smart Alex, you say, well, less is more. Come on, you just heard somebody else say that. We thought they were smart. It reflects reality, but it's an irony, and that's why it's so clever. Because less is not more, less is less. But the irony falls sweetly on our little brain, so we repeat it over and over. Something that's not literally true, it's just ironically true. Oh, you went too far. Too late, you went too far already. My music is ended for some reason. Some battery somewhere must have died. I thought everything was all charged up. Okay, back to these. Am I in view? Yeah, barely. Okay. Let's go back to these trees now. The sun, yeah, I've got about 20 minutes of light left, I think. In some ways, my job would get easier. I have light, I have plenty of light on my LED light over my head, and plenty of batteries, spare batteries. But of course, when it gets dark, I can no longer lift up my head and look just a little bit to my right and see this gorgeous skyline. At that point, I'll be relying quite heavily, or more and more and more heavily, on either memory or the photographs that I've taken with my old phone. I had no idea when I got my new Android phone that my old phone would turn out to be such a exclusively as a camera. Okay, just a little bit of where we're going, and I'm going to hang up on you guys in just a bit. Point to the left. You know what sundogs are? There it is right there. It's where the, come on. Darken for us, darken. There we go. Do you see that? That is not the sun. The sun's over here. And there's the sundog. Beautiful. Look at that sky. Is that not gorgeous? Woo! I'm painting a city in a sunset. Okay, that was just a little detour. Now back to the job at hand. As soon as I finish painting, drawing with brushes here, and you do understand, don't you, that anytime you get dark, you want any part of your painting darker, you do it with transparent paint. And then conversely, if you want any part of your painting lighter, you do it with opaque paint. So, because I'm doing dark, yes, this is transparent. It's not transparent because I bought a tube of transparent paint. No. It's because I'm using liquid. Here, let me point you. There's my little. There's not much left. I got more on in the bottle. There's my little pile of liquid. So periodically, I dip my brush in there. So the colors I'm putting on this are quite transparent. So the next thing I'm going to do, I started to say, the next thing I'm going to do is draw with pencils. But, here we go again. My technique seems to be migrating. Whereas I used to do pencils next, lately, I've been going all the way to the fuzz layer. The fuzz layer used to be my penultimate, or next to last stage, next to last phase, used to be the fuzz layer. For those of you who don't know, but used to be that was the penultimate or next to last layer. Now, lately, it's become like, again, tonight, I'm going to do it next. So maybe my technique is permanently shifting. Only time will tell. By the way, which reminds me, how do you get better at a painter? There's only one way. You can listen to me. That helps a tiny bit. Maybe. That's pretty arrogant, isn't it? But the real way, of course, is by painting. Because your own technique, your own world strategy, step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Your own technique needs to evolve, needs to follow a natural trajectory. And nobody can tell you what that trajectory is for you. And you can copy other people, you can copy me for a while, but not for too long, because you need to follow your own your own journey. And your journey happens one painting at a time. So I might be changing here. This is, I think, the third or fourth painting in a row I'm doing this. It's too early to tell, and it's not my job to make my technique change. Because it's not your job to make your technique evolve. Just let it evolve. That's the word. Not make, let, allow. Don't force things to happen. Just allow things to happen. Ooh, I'm enjoying this right now. I told you earlier about this. A veritable forest of vertical shafts, vertical marks, telephone poles, power lines, light poles, traffic light poles, a veritable traffic signs, a veritable forest. Most cityscapes are this way, and it was fun to scratch those. Okay, now I'm going to proceed to the fuzz layer. But you know what? Before I do, let me take a little break, plug my microphone back in, make sure the battery's not going dead. I'll be back in just a bit. Thanks. All right. Thanks for hanging in there with me, friends. Sorry, need to turn that music down a little bit. Got carried away while we were down. Love my little Bose speaker. Love the Bose speaker. The light's on. Now you're getting some moderate glare, but the wind is down. I'm happy to say that. That's a nice change. And I've just finished drawing with brushes, and now I'm going to do pleasure. This started this about a year and a half ago. Translucent. In fact, take my dance steps, large and small, light and dark, literal and artsy. Three couplets, large and small, light and dark, literal and artsy. Overlaying those three couplets are an intentional playing with transparent, opaque, and translucent. And I think if you're thinking, you know the those words mean, but I think people are using the word translucent wrongly all the time. When they mean transparent and vice versa. But I think you know what you mean. Okay, there's fuzz in there. Let me tell you what it is. Translucent, soft edges, glow, and local color. Local color is artists. That's realistic color. Sometimes you get to this point of the painting process, and it's lovely, but some areas just need to be shifted to more literal what the real color is. I don't know if that's the case with this or not. Guys, thank you. Love the beer, man. Thank you. One of the main reasons I introduced the monk to this fuzz layer is especially to make sure that I don't have too many hard edges in my first paint. Lots of soft edges. So this is intentional softness. And by the way, you can see here, for the first time, I've put white paint, oil paint, on my palette, and I do several piles so that I don't cross-contaminate warm and cools as I mix. Okay, enough talking. Let's start thinking about painting. Man, and wait, hang on. Before I do that, I need to take another picture. Man, it's just. By the way, one of the things I do like about painting on plein air like this is, throughout the course of an evening especially, I'll get enough photographs to do several paintings at home. And I've talked before about this app called HDR Pro, or Pro HDR. I forget which one it is. That's good enough for now. Pro HDR. The HDR, quote unquote, the HDR that comes on your iPhone or your Droid is not real. Don't trust it. You need to pay $2 for the real deal. Okay, let's start doing some glow, some fuzz layer. Starting with the sky, actually. Do just a little bit of salmon. The sky is just starting to get the color I was expecting and looking for ever since I got here. It's right down here. It's blush. And again, you see how soft. I'm not carefully painting, along the edge of the buildings. No, I'm going all over. That's the fuzz layer. Even a little bit more of that. And I like that so much that I can do the same thing. It's very much the color of the sky. Red, because it's only going to last a few minutes, and this fuzz will be gone. This color will be gone. So happy to just get some of it blocked in really quickly. Fix that a little bit. Hoping that exposure is going to get corrected. The fuzz layer, by the way, is particularly helpful if you have trees and you're going to do sky holes. Later on in the process, you're going to do hard edge sky holes. In the fuzz stage, you do soft sky holes, which is a huge advantage to painting realistic trees. Some of your sky holes should be soft and some should be hard. So if you do them in separate stages, it just kind of helps guarantee that you are in fact going to get both kinds, hard and soft edge. Now let's do some sky. So here I'm using the fuzz layer to do some local color. I want the sky to be a little more realistic blue up here than it is right at the moment. And I can come back later and I'll do some hard edges to this sky along the edges of buildings. Does that make sense? But right now, I want soft edges in buildings. Easy to do hard edges in buildings. Easy to do hard edges. It's a little bit more. It's a little counterintuitive. That's the word. A little bit more counterintuitive to do soft edges of buildings. And you can come back. I'm going to come back later and sharpen up some of these edges. But the difficulty as an artist is not doing enough soft edges. It's not hard edges. The difficulty is getting enough soft edges in your painting. You catch that? As an artist, hard edges are not your problem. Soft edges are almost certainly 95% of the artists, 99% of the artists. I've only known 2 artists in my whole life that came out of the chute painting soft and loose. In fact, their names were John Lowe and Gosha. I forget Gosha's last name. She was with us at Waverly Place. Some of you know Gosha. Any of my local friends are listening. 2 people I've ever known in my whole career who they were both fairly beginner, but they both came out of the chute loose. So they had to learn how to draw as they matured. Everybody else I've ever known was tight and wanted to get loose, right? Like you, right? That fits you, right? If you're an artist, of course it does. I've only known 2 out of hundreds of artists. John Lowe, you can Google him, and Gosha, G-O-S-I-A. You might be able to find her just by that much information. Okay, now what else do I want to have glow? Traffic lights down here. I want some traffic light glow and stoplights. So let's just go ahead and here's red lights, and here's red lights. See, those are tail lights of cars. They're all soft. Are you catching that? There's going to be a red dot in the center of that glow. But right now, I'm just interested in the glow. Okay, now, everything I'm looking at over to my left is, I can look at it the structure of the buildings while I can still see them. But the lighting is nothing like what I'm painting. It's a beautiful scene. In fact, in a little while, I'm going to take another picture. Sorry, I've let my music get too loud. YouTube will be streaming. What else do I want? I just want some warm glow. There's going to be a lot of lights coming on. And by the way, yes, I do quite a bit of the same cheating, but not nearly to the extent that Thomas Kincaid did. And I think it's instructive, in case any of you haven't noticed. Me and Tommy, and again, it used to be a lot more fun to talk about him when he was living, but anyway. If the sky is as light as I'm indicating in here, then the lights in the windows shouldn't be quite as bright as they are. But we're cheating here. Why? Because we're not painting a picture, we're painting a painting. Did you catch that? Ooh, that's nice. I just added kind of a moderate yellow to the sky there. Not a lemon yellow, but it was actually yellow ochre mixed with some titanium white. It's just one little more bit of glow that I think I want to do, and then I think I'll be done. And that is, there was quite a bit of yellow hitting one of these copper roofs, verdigris, the green. There's actually 2 roofs over here, but this one in particular was really glowing. So there, see, there's my clue. It's really glowing. There's 2 roofs over here, so 2 copper roofs. Let me hit that. Are you with me? So I'm just about ready. So I reversed order from what I used to call my traditional. Now I'm going to do pencils, especially with this glow layer. I've just about eliminated. You can hardly see any pencil in this painting anymore, even though that was this third stage that I did. I did a ton of pencil drawing. It was pretty tight, accurate, realistic, and it was very deliberate. I even held my pencil like this a couple times, if you can imagine. That's kind of an inside joke for those of you who know me. Now I can see virtually none of it. So it's time to do more pencils because I like pencil marks to show up. So that I hope it's clear to you. This painting is plenty accurate enough. I am not doing pencil because I need accuracy or I need drawing. Does that make sense? This is not like a traditional oil painter's use of charcoal. A traditional oil painter will do a charcoal sketch for composition and accuracy of drawing. Hello, guys. Is that looking okay? Thank you. How are you doing? I hope I'm warming up your night a little bit.
Oh yeah. Thank you.
Good to see you guys. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. So the reason I'm doing pencil is because I like the interplay of, I usually put it this way, I like the interplay of smooshy paint next to scratchy pencil. I think that's why I like it. Again, I just started, the pencil evolved about 2.5 years ago, and I thought it might just be a temporary thing, but it's 2.5 years later and still not only doing it, but enjoying it quite a bit. I had experience a year and a half ago or so, where I was in one of the galleries, that is to say, that I'm represented in, and in fact, this happened twice, 2 different galleries, one in Phoenix, Scottsdale, where I looked at an artist's work, and the artist had some paintings in which they used pencil and some paintings in which they did not. They just used brushes. And in both cases, I found that the artist standing next to me agreed that the paintings that included the contrast of pencil marks were superior. So they made me think about maybe it's not just me. Maybe do a nice little trick here. Okay, so once I'm finished with this pencil layer, then I'm on to my absolute last stage of the painting process. I shouldn't say absolute for the day, which is light, opaque highlights. Okay, so that comes the last. This is now the next to last layer is this pencil, and in the last stage, I just want to add this. I will cover or obliterate a fair amount of this pencil work. And I feel that's kind of important to say, because I don't want my painting to look like a drawing that's been painted. Does that make sense? So, in my opinion, too much pencil work would be unpleasant. So, in the final stage, I gauge how much of this pencil work I want to remain visible, remain shown. And I feel like that's important to say. If you're thinking about trying this pencil technique, don't forget in the last layer, you get the last word. You get to understand how much of this pencil still shows up. And I cover a fair amount of it, I would say, probably 1/3 to 1/2. But see, I don't know which third or which half I'm going to deem effective, beautiful. I don't know which which half I'm going to like. I'm going to make the half that doesn't consider. I hope that makes sense. Hope that made sense. But once again, you know, if you can find a painting technique, if you can find a dance for yourself where each step of the painting process you enjoy, like, ooh, I really like this part, ooh, I like this part, ooh, I can't wait to get, and that is pretty much the way I feel about my painting techniques. Like right now, oh man, I love this pencil stage. It's a lot of fun. That's a good way to. I keep looking over my right shoulder, not my shoulder. I keep looking over to my right to see my subject matter. It is now seriously fading into darkness. In fact, forgive me just a minute. I'm going to take another minute to take another picture. And by the way, when it gets this dark, the HDR camera is not very effective. So I'm just taking regular camera. Yeah, I guess it's good enough. Again, the main reason I enjoy the pencil is because I enjoy the juxtaposition. That is right next to each other, the smooshy brush paint strokes and the scratchy pencil marks next to each other. I find to be quite pleasant. It's not so much that I'm using the pencils for realism, like for drawing. I am drawing, but that's not the reason. And it does add, by the way, it does help me, you know, capture a little bit realism. And again, that's not the main reason I'm using it. If you want to try it, that's the mindset I have. You can have whatever mindset you want. That's the mindset I have. Yes, you can draw. Definitely can draw faster with two hands. Just in case you can paint faster with two hands than you can with one. Especially with stuff like this. Double scoring, double marks per movement, of course. I was in a plein air competition last year or two, by the way, Norfolk, Virginia, and the judge, I won, and the judge did make particular mention of my. He was intrigued by it. He mentioned it as like, and it looked like, it was really interesting. It looked like the artist came in and drew with pencils or something. So that was encouraging to me too. That you know, I could imagine some judge saying, "You use pencils, that's terrible," but this judge seemed positively inclined toward this unusual technique. Make no mistake, it is unconventional to use pencils. Traffic now slowing down. I really, as you can see now, I really glow in the dark now. Now that the sun has gone down, I've got this light on my easel. I really do stand out quite distinctly. And that's a good safety thing, by the way. They're not likely to run into me because they don't see me. They might run into me because they're staring at me now. Exchange one danger for another, eh? once again, still, I don't want everything I'm doing up to is still underpainting. All of this is considered underpainting. It's only the last layer is quote unquote overpainting. We don't usually use that word. I don't know why. We ought to, but it is not to your advantage for all of your underpainting to be too accurate. You want it to be somewhat inaccurate. Otherwise, when you come to the last layer, if all your lines accidentally are already in all the right places, your painting is going to come across stiff, stilted. And that's exactly the thing that most of us are working against, is that I'd like to get looser. Almost everybody says that. They don't really mean it, but they say it. I think you can figure out I'm standing on a hill, right? You can tell. Let's zoom in. I'm sorry, so you can see a little better around here. Okay, just about done. I'm ready to proceed to the very last step of the painting process, which is light, opaque highlights. And only, quote unquote, to taste. Only the right amount of light, only the right amount of hard edge. I mean, the painting is 95% done, except that this last stage is the slowest, the most meticulous. Yeah, people slowing down. And it's getting chilly out here, even though I'm wearing a fairly heavy coat and sweater and a shirt and t-shirt. Let me give you a rundown on my clothing. Okay, last stage. Yeah, let me, just for sake of brag, let me show you the view, again looking downtown. There you go, isn't that sweet? So the last stage of the painting process, light, so everything has white in it, light, opaque, highlights, and hard edges, as opposed to the fuzz layer, it was all soft edges. Now I do the hard edges, and remember, it's very easy for a painting to have too many hard edges. Almost impossible for a painting to have too many soft edges. Again, I'm talking here about in the world of what I call real painting. Snobstick, when I admit it, but in the tradition of almost every great painter you can think of. Even Bouguereau. I 20 years ago, I took a class where I did a copy of a Bouguereau painting. My copy is slightly better than the original. Even Bouguereau is so precise. When he has that little bear baby's butt, you know, in front of the dark bush going, it's a soft edge. He knew about soft edges. And I say even he, because he would be one of the people we'd call not a photorealist, but very realistic painter. But even he understood very well the magic and the importance of soft edges. Okay. Where I start this last layer, let me point you at the painting just for a minute. Where to start this last layer? 4 options. 1, traditional. Start the farthest away and move forward. Sky, move forward. Number 2, start at the lightest, brightest, whitest thing. Now there's several things that are here vying for the position. This building, that one, or that one. What are those 4 things? Or maybe the sky. Start with the lightest thing. Number 3, start with a focal point and work out like rings of a bullseye of a target. Start with the bullseye and move out. Number 5, start with that's good. Number 5, start with local color. Sometimes there's some significant shape and it's just not the right color. Fix that and then move up from there. Now, in this case, I honestly don't know what I'm going to do. By the way, I like this painting. The Mikey's rule composition, the midtones are all connected. The dark tones I'm going to have to work at connecting, and the light spots are higgledy-piggledy, freckle face, sucker, but that's working. Okay, where to start? I'm thinking about starting with the sky. I don't think I have any local color that needs fixing. I'm okay. Sky, I'm thinking that's a good option. And by the way, those are the 4 options. I'll do different every time. Or focal point. Well, doggone, where is the focal point in this thing? Normally, when you can see down a street like this, normal. But this isn't screaming to me as focal point right now. It's actually this area here. I think is focal point. You know what? I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start in this area right here. It's kind of a large focal point. But I think I'm going to start there because that's where I want our attention to go first, and then take numbers. That's the way I want a viewer to look at my painting. Look here first. Oh, actually, back here again, like that. Is that like points of the star? That's a good description of what a focal point does. Anyway, so I think that's what I'm going to do. And I feel pretty happy about that. Move you guys out of the way so you can see over my shoulder a little bit. And let's get started. Well, that's a big area, so I'm not, Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I am going to start with, in the focal point, I'm now declaring that to be the focal point, and I'm going to start with some of the lightest bits in that focal point. And again, there's no point in me looking over to the left anymore, because unless I need to see the shape of the building, I can see it because of the city lights. But so that's why, of course, why I took pictures with my other camera. Okay, at this point in the painting process, what this stuff actually looks like in reality over there to my right, behind the canvas, is of minimal concern to me. I don't really care all that much. In other words, the degree of realism that I have, the degree of accuracy that I have on the canvas right now is plenty enough. Does that make sense to you? The drawing is accurate enough. Now what I'm concerned about is art. Not picture, but painting. So I'm thinking about, of course, brush strokes, contrast, values, colors, edges, and so forth. Having just done a sharp edge there. If I want something to look like it's really glowing, if you want something to look like it's really glowing, that's what you do to it. You sweep it to it. Make it soft. You really want that little bit of that white building, which I quite like that little bit of light building. So I made it glow, and it looks even more like it's very bright. Okay, now I've just mixed up another slightly darker. By the way, my go-to choice when I'm painting, when I want to mix up a warm white, warm, most of you think it's yellow, right? Well, yellow and red are both warm. The warmest warm, I believe, is yellow, orange, yellow. Orange, yellow, orange. But if I just want to warm up my white, yellow ochre is the yellow that I most typically use. Don't use a lemon, a cad light, or lemon yellow, or Hansa yellow. I find yellow ochre much more getting the job done. Okay, and let me zoom in here real quick so you can see as much detail as possible. You can move a little bit closer. Forgive the earthquake here. I want you to see what I'm doing. Again, for you, those of you who are students and trying this technique, see, the goal in this final stage is to let as much of the underpainting show through as you can possibly stand. Why? Because the underpainting is all transparent colors. Thank you, girls. Appreciate it. And the transparent colors are full of magic. The opaque that I'm putting on top of the transparent, not so much. You understand? Not so much magic. So you want as much of that beautiful transparent stuff. And again, I say, you could describe my painting process as creating a lot of chaos in the with some messy, accidental things that happen. Bob Ross's best quote, happy little accidents. And so you want to cover up as little as possible. Now, I just did that and I made it too speckledy. So let me fix that real quick. Let me show you a trick. You see how it's a little over speckled right there? This is one of the things I use a fan brush for. Okay, now it's over smeared. It's over scumbled. Right now, I'm going to do two things to fix that. One is scratch, and the other then is come back and do just a few hard edge dots. Generally speaking, the human eye, does not enjoy that pure. Scumbling is a great tool, but it's not a good final texture. Generally speaking, we don't like that as a final texture. Pure line. A little more definition to the top of this gazebo-like thing. Not gazebo, what do you call it? Widow's box, the thing at the top of that. The thing at the top. Okay, let's move on. I guess I'm still in your field of vision, so this is another building that is catching a lot of light, and I feel like that's important. In fact, it was a building that had a shadow coming down at an angle. I started painting a little 4:40 or something like that, and it's almost 8 o'clock, so I've been out here over 3.5 hours. It's my job. If it wasn't my job, I'd be at home with my feet probably. And I would quit very soon. I'm still thinking of quitting very soon, but here again, a lot of light on this building, so probably can use some fuzz. Yep. Paint with a rag right here and remove. Whoops, I can't do that because I'm removing the layer underneath. So now I'm going to cheat because I just wiped off my glaze. Remember? I did a transparent glaze, so let me mix up some dark stuff. This happens not infrequently at all, that I need to quote unquote cheat. Even though I'm in the final stage of the painting, which is light opaque highlights, I need to frequently come back and add a little bit of darkness. Okay, there we go. Good enough. Hey, I think this exact color. No, change. Had a tiny bit of. Rose is my favorite red color. Well, I'm not sure. It's my favorite funky red. And by the way, I would like you to notice that I've been calling my final layer is light opaque highlights and hard edges. I would like you to notice how few hard edges. I've done very few. Like that's medium hard right there. There's a hard edge right there. But almost everything else is, if you're calling it hard edge, you'd almost have to put it in quotation marks because it's not very hard. Again, easy for a painting to have too many hard edges. Almost impossible for a painting to have too many soft edges. Okay, so from a distance, that area right there looks kind of hard. Up close, it's not very hard at all. Tell you what, though, since I just did that got this kind of salmony color mixed up here. I think in the sky, I think I used the same down here. And right now, here's a good example of what I mean when I see there's a bunch of pencil lines down here. But I'm going to cover up most of them right now. At least a good percentage of them are getting cleared on this layer. But again, I don't know how much when I'm doing the pencil, I don't know if it's a mark that's going to stay or not. It's at this stage that I make that judgment call, and I'm judging right at the moment that a lot of those pencil marks I need to push back a little bit. Partly because should be so soft right here, and the pencil lines are coming out a little bit hard and dark for that great of a distance. Never paint with your fingers. I am quite careful not to have any cadmiums or cobalts on my palette. I virtually never use cads or cobalts. It's been going on for the last 10 years. They only cause cancer in California, of course. And we don't want some of us to live in California. It's a joke, of course. Bad joke. If I'm going to paint for the next 30 years, and I don't read guys and cobalts. The only thing I use imitation clad yellow, and I don't think there's a human on the planet that can actually, maybe a professional paint mixer can tell the difference between imitation. I can tell imitation clad red from across the room. I've actually done it more than once in a painting class. But yellow, I can't tell. And then for my reds, this is review for those of you who for my reds, I have basically 1, 2, 3 reds. Way down in the cold end, I have a permanent rose, and then I have a naphthol crimson, which is a nice dark, rich, but tends toward cool. You know what I mean by cool, right? Tending toward the purplish ones. Scarlet, which is a warm, is tending toward the orange in this one. So between those three, I feel that I get all the reds that I need. Here again. And in doubt, scratch. And then after doing some scumbling, you have to come back and do some more hard edges, because we generally speaking, we don't like I'm going to have to clean some brushes. Tell you what, I'm going to take a little break. What I'm doing right now is a little bit meticulous and boring. So let me take a break and paint by myself for a while without your company, and I'll bring you back in. Maybe for the last session tonight before I head home, and I'll finish this painting hopefully tomorrow. I am fairly happy with it. I'm going to stand back from it. Thanks for your company, and I look forward to hearing more from you, or you hear more from me in a little while. Bye-bye. Hey, hello friends. Welcome back. Welcome me back. I'm cold. I'm tired. I'm hungry. I can carry this professional thing, but so far. Okay, I'll show you a little bit what I've been doing while I've been gone. Let's let the automatic exposure fix that for you. There we go. Okay, so I've just
done some work here. I enjoy doing the green roofs down there. I just realized I've got a mistake. I've got over here, I've got the roof ending here, and here I've got it coming down there, so I need to fix that. A little bit of that and some of that. Anyway, I'm having a lot of fun. It's going pretty slow because this is the slow phase of this whole process is this stuff. So I think I'm quite happy with the painting. It's going in a good direction. It's coming out. The colors in it are quite fetching. I'm gonna do just a tiny bit more. Really, that's just enough for me to sign off and finish today's broadcast. But while I'm doing it, let's do just one fun little detail. Forgive me for the rough ride there. Let's get you in up there. Let's do some of this. The top of this, the red top of this building. I'm trying to mix up the appropriate color of red here. By the way, when I say appropriate color, at this point in the painting process, again, I care, I don't want to exaggerate, but I care very little. And I have here a picture, you see, I've edited that in Photoshop, or I mean edited it in my camera to make it closer to the colors I want. But I care relatively little for what color things actually are. Whoa, 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 whoa. I'm sorry, I didn't put my microphone on. Hang on. Sorry about that. Forgot to put my mic on. Okay, I care relatively little about what the actual color of things are. About 90% of my color decisions at this point are artistic, not literal. Speaking while I was doing that, I just realized I did this block right here not supposed to be red. So I do care about that. So let's paint with a rag, and that will require a little bit of touching up, but no big problem. Most of my color decisions at this point, that little mistake notwithstanding, are artistic decisions, not literal decisions. And if I've done the underpainting correctly, if I've done the underpainting right, then it is talking to me. So all those layers that perhaps you watched me do, layer and layer and layer of kind of crazy color, now makes a little bit of sense. Oh, that's why you did that. I feel like when I'm teaching this technique to students, it's late in the painting process that they go, oh, now I get it. Now I see that the colors I was doing earlier, that was important. I go, yeah, of course that was important. So if I've done the underpainting well, then the painting is telling me, the whole painting is telling me what color or what colors to do. Does that make sense? So I don't have to make up, I don't have to invent this final layer. I don't have to make up colors wholesale, as I like to put it. The canvas itself is telling me, almost in every square millimeter, the canvas itself is telling me what color to put here and there and here and there and here and there, as it is doing right now. See, I'm hitting just a tiny bit of blue along the edge of this red top of a building. And what color blue am I doing? Well, it's basically the color blue that's already there. It's just, instead of being layers of transparent, now it's just a little bit of opaque I'm doing at the top. Now let me do at least one more thing before I go, and that is, again, very common if you follow me, now that the proverbial now that we are into the opaque phase of the painting, right? Now that we're painting with opaque colors, there is a trick of the trade. It's almost always a good idea to follow up I just put some red up there, but my brush, all of this red was all one color on my brushes, right? So it's all the same color. Therefore, it's almost always a good idea to look good. And you watch in just a second. I'm mixing up a color down here. It's just a slightly lighter red than what's already there. And if I come up here and do just a little bit, oh yeah, on top of what's already there, just little bits here and there, not going nuts with it. Man, the day that I learned this trick, oh my goodness, did it start making a difference in my painting. I'm hoping you can see that. So I've mixed up basically a pale salmon pink color. Ah, that is so nice. And again, that's not bragging when I says that, you know, like I'm surprised at how good that looks. Oh my goodness. I hope you can catch that. So good enough. Thank you guys for your company tonight, and all those of you who are going to watch at least parts of this video in the week to come. Appreciate, welcome your comments, and I'm going to go home and probably play some music, at least till my wife gets home. She appreciates it. She appreciates it if I practice when she's not there. We understand each other. I practice trumpet, saxophone, guitar mostly. So I have to walk about a block to get my car. I have to drive my car 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 blocks to get back here. And then I'll pack up all my stuff and go home, get warm, eat some supper. Thank you so much for watching again. And please leave comments, okay? And tomorrow's broadcast will probably be me finishing this painting. That's all. Thanks.